Let's go.
If you want to take full.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's show. Hopefully I'm not coming in too loud. Too loudly or loud or whatever. Please let me know. I can turn my microphone down. Microphone check 1, microphone check 2, 3.
Oh, are we on the air.
Am I loud, Colin?
You can turn your gain down just a little bit. Just
Is
a
it
little
my
bit.
game?
Yeah, your gain. Oh, never mind. I forgot you're not a tech guy. Just turn your volume down a little bit, bro.
Yes, I'm not a techie.
What's up, everybody? It's the 1 year anniversary of the live Ask the Black Man Anything Eve. Hopefully that makes sense. Tomorrow marks 1 year since we went live on YouTube. So, last episode of season 1.
Yes, indeed. So we gotta make it a great one. Prop myself. Feeling good, feeling great. I want to turn TV on, but you know, it's all good. 12 months, and just think, we could have been. I got a text that somebody was on Clubhouse. Oh boy, that's hilarious.
You say you received a text?
Yeah, I got a text that somebody was on Clubhouse. That's all I'm gonna say. All I'm gonna say is skip the ad.
All right, say no more.
Talking about their experience of being a matchmaker. That's all I got today. Ain't got no more. You know what's crazy? If you look at the graphic, Steve has been on our graphic, and he ain't been with us since the summer. Since like.
That's all right. That's gonna change for season 2.
For sure, definitely. And I gave everybody an opportunity to slide back, and hopefully, you know, they welcome to come back. You know, good evening, and welcome to Ask a Black Man Anything right here on this beautiful shirt. I am one of your hosts, Chris Davis, in Atlanta, Georgia, by way of Buffalo, New York, and I am extremely happy to be here. Please don't judge my crooked picture, because here's the thing. There are things that I didn't even put that picture up. My brother did, so don't judge me. Anyways, but as Colin said, man, we have been doing this show for 12 months live, and when I tell you, I am super excited, super stoked. In 12 months, we've gotten monetized. In 12 months, we've grown our followership to a place where we have over 1,100 subscribers. And it was literally just a little small mustard seed, and we had just began as babies in this industry. And we are a group of men who want to share our experience, want to share our passions and our joys and our excitements for all of the things that have happened to us and our wisdom that we've been able to garner over the last, some of us 53 years, like my brother right here, Mr. I didn't change them that fast. Super DB. Now my brother over here, 40 years. I am 3 years actually his senior. But Daryl is 10 years my senior. So we have over the last year, almost 15, 16 months, been doing this. And I'll tell you, and I do it, every once in a while, I'll tell you our journey. We started this Ask a Black Man Anything journey on Clubhouse. It is an audio podcast app only, where you can hear voices all across the United States. And it was a fun thing to do. And I actually pitched, hey, let's make t-shirts, right? And, we can sell them for $20 and we can make money for a brand and we can give that money away, right? Let's go to YouTube and do this exact same thing, because Clubhouse, while it's great, YouTube is a larger brand and it allows you to expand to reach people all over the world. While Clubhouse at the time was only in the United States, the UK, and Canada. And I'm not sure where it is now, but it spread. And so fast forward, we started in like January of 2021. And 6 months later, July 1st of 2021, we went live, rebranded right here on YouTube. And this is the last episode of the first season. And if you go back and look at the first 46, 7 episodes, we are here every Thursday night. We might have missed Christmas and New Year's, and a few other, occasions where we miss some people, miss some episodes. But man, we are literally here every week bringing you amazing content, sharing our wisdom, our experiences, and answering your questions. And so, with that being said, I welcome my two co-hosts who are here tonight, and the other gentleman will be joining us shortly, Daryl Bailey and Mr. Colin Hartman. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome, family. You know how we do.
Love that hat, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. It's Thursday. We come on strong. We're here for the people. Perspective, love, relationships, life, happiness, wealth, health. We have a vast knowledge of collective minds of men from different parts of the United States who have come together over this past year, and I'm thankful to have met these gentlemen. Haven't met them in person yet, but it's coming. And definitely, I love the diversity in age, in mindset. We don't all think we're not one unit of mind, but we're unified in the body of men, that we are upstanding and outstanding. With that being said, I'm gonna pass the mic to Mr. Colin Hartman, the extraordinaire himself.
Thank you for passing the mic, brother. Really appreciate that. But yeah, I just sit and think about it sometimes that Clubhouse is a very powerful app because it connected so many people from around the world together in one place in a time where everybody was locked in and couldn't really do anything. So ever since jumping on, because I jumped on in December of 2020, I remember it was just maybe 6 to 8 months of just being addicted to that app because I was just getting so much information, sharing so much of my own knowledge, connecting, networking, in many ways than others, made collaborations, hired a lot of people, a lot of employees, found the love of my life. And then, of course, met my bros here. So it's just like these strangers just scattered all over the nation. And we just kept coming into this room was it the dating room, Chris? Was it the Ask a...
It was the Ask a Black Man room.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Ask a Black Man Anything. And it was just a collective of guys just consistently coming into the room, not knowing that, the person to the left and right of me would be someone I would be sharing a stage with and a platform with. So, but I really appreciate just the connections made, and most importantly, the connections I made with you brothers, because I really do cherish our relationship. I really do cherish this brand. I cherish everyone's perspectives, and really appreciate being here. So I think we're gonna have to toast before the show is over. So at some point in time, y'all gonna have to get your glasses. So, but yeah, go ahead, Chris. It's on you.
No, man, I'm just thinking, man. I get my Bob Bark on too. Man, I joined in December of 2021 or 2020 as well. I was actually dating a young lady, and the conversation that we had at the time was Clubhouse is perfect for me because I love to talk. And, anybody who knows me knows that I have the gift of gab. I've always been able to speak. I can go into any situation and meet someone. And it's been an amazing experience. I learned how to build a system for my business so that my business would not fail. I learned how to, not only, hold myself accountable, but learn to use the voice that I had so that I can help other men be accountable. I actually spoke in great vulnerability about my divorce, which I had never done before. And that gave me the opportunity to just share a piece of me that I had not shared before. And so I could go on and on, but I want to welcome one of our other great co-hosts, Mr. Shahid Muhammad. We're just talking about our experience, how we all came together, how we first met. Share with us a few of your moments, since, inception on Clubhouse to the day, man. We're right at our 1 year anniversary. So, the floor is yours.
For me, man, it was I think it was pretty much the same. I think we all got on Clubhouse at around the same time. Was doing Ask a Black Man. Um, I was just on the app. Just it was a new app. At the time, it was had a certain level of exclusivity. So just messing around with it, different engaging on different platforms and whatnot. But once we really got the ball rolling with Ask a Black Man, it stuck, and here we are a year later. So that's been it. You know what I mean? Like I heard Colin saying, like it's been dope. I've been able to share the stage with a bunch of distinguished gentlemen. I've learned so much from even when we were, I think 14, 15 deep up until now. It's a blessing, to still be going after a whole year.
For sure, man. It is, for what it's worth, all of the jokes, all of the camaraderie, all of the bonding, the pairing that has happened all virtually. Literally, COVID kept us away from each other, right? And for the moment, that was okay. I am just super excited to say that I have enjoyed this experience. I also want to say, before I take another second and celebrate our 1 year, I want to say happy birthday to our younger brother, Jerron. Man, I think it was yesterday, or is it today? I forget. Um, Today, I charged it to my head and not my heart. I know I had it in my phone, that your birthday. So happy birthday to our co-host Jerron Brown. He is out celebrating. I think he turns 31. And man, enjoying the festivities. And just, man, enjoy it. Live it up. Enjoy your birthday. Cancer season is one of the most emotional seasons. Because
Here we go.
I mean, it's true. Y'all are some of the greatest, kindest, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, cancers are really in touch with their emotions, and that's an amazing thing. I don't mean that in a bad way, in no way, shape, or form. Hopefully, he's having a great time. With that also being said, welcome, Wes, in LA. Hopefully, you got your audio right.
Man, don't start.
We want to hear you
start,
tonight, man.
Don't start, brother.
Man, we were just sharing about our 1 year experience, man, how we got started, what it's meant to you. The floor is yours.
Oh man, yeah, it's been a minute, right? Time has flown by so fast, man. I just for me, man, it's been like therapy, right?
Yes.
And that's what I value the most, especially these conversations with you guys, the deep things that we've talked about on and off camera, the everything that we've experienced has grown me you know, not just on camera, but the things that we've gone through together behind the scenes has grown me as a man, as crazy as that might sound at the age of 51. But
Brother,
I've
we
learned
always
to,
growing. We're continually
yeah,
growing.
indeed, I've learned to listen more thanks to you guys. I've learned to consider other perspectives. My viewpoint has been widened a bit. I still don't agree with you Negroes half the time, uh, it's been beautiful, man, to hear so many different perspectives, and to be able to process that and weigh that against my own heart, man, and have you guys kind of just share from the bottom of your heart whatever it is, whatever trials you might have been going through, or whatever your deep thoughts are on any particular topic. So that I haven't had, you know, I have a great group of friends, and in real life, as they say. But to be honest, a lot of those relationships are somewhat compartmentalized because, you know, I have one of my best friends and we usually talk about this particular thing or this particular subject, and another one that we might talk about other things. But with you guys, man, we've had an opportunity to talk about everything. And so yeah, man, it's this whole experience has been valuable, man, and each and every one of you have also been valuable to my life. So that's what's up. 1 year in.
See, look at that cancer season, man. I'm shedding a tear, man. 1 year in, man. 12 months, 12. I'm not, you know, I'm big on numbers, but I'm not like one of those numerologists, right? 12 is the number of foundation. If you can do something for 12 months, you literally can basically have established yourself. There are people who have come into this industry, um, had fast success and flopped, right? And for whatever rhyme or reason it is, you know, they did not, you know, reach to whatever level of success they wanted to reach, and that was, you know, that may have been their time. But I am very, very grateful, um, very happy that we're able to literally do this, you know, month in and month out and month in and month out, and it's been amazing. 12 months, and here's the craziest thing, and the guys have actually said off camera a lot, and I I don't take the credit for this, right? Although I was the person who said that we should take it to YouTube, I don't take the credit for any of this. Shout out to, you know, my brother Colin here, who is doing an amazing job producing the show. Shan, who is on his way, who is doing an amazing job of, you know, holding us together, doing the graphics that you see on our social media pages. Shout out to the fellas for showing up week in and week out, and giving you the unadulterated, raw, unfiltered experiences that they've had. They've been vulnerable, they've been open, they've been positive, they've been available to communicate. And here's the thing, you don't get that usually when you get a group of men. Generally, men are kind of closed off, but you have these group of 8 gentlemen who are just open and willing to share um, their experiences, man. And I don't take that lightly. You know, I'm not the oldest, I'm not the youngest, I'm kind of like the middle brother. The fella said that, you know, yeah, it was Chris who, no, I had an idea, man. You know, let us expand our current station beyond where we were. And look at us, man. We are doing the daggone thing. You know, it is not I alone. It is us who are holding the arms of each other, and doing this thing called YouTubers.
Let
So
my arms go.
you said let your arms go.
DB,
What it do, my brother?
it's good to see you, man. Good to see you. Loving the
Yeah,
brim.
yeah. Thank you, sir. I had to had a reality check. I'm still healing. It's an
Yeah.
emotional journey, physical journey as well. Want to get back to my workouts, but you know, I'm in a good space. I couldn't say that 8 months ago, but I'm in a good
Yeah.
space. I appreciate y'all, brothers. The prayers, the encouragement, the upliftment. We here now. Started from the
Yeah.
bottom. Started from the bottom. We got them.
Now we here.
Now we here, baby.
Yeah, man. The rebranding was special. Um, yeah, for those who don't know, we started under one particular brand and we moved into a new one. The rebranding alone was just a super special thing. We made Ask a Black Man Anything a brand. And to that end, there's just so many things that we just do to protect our brand. Probably in season two, where you're gonna be able to purchase these shirts, right? Probably in season two, we'll get the love, 911 podcast to finally jump off. you know, um, there's actually been, I don't know if you remember, Shahid, when they talking about having you do the sports talk on any given day. Maybe that'll come in the future seasons. But man, it has been um, a whirlwind, and what an opportunity to be here, um, just to share, right? Just to share. And most importantly, let me say this: I appreciate every person that has watched our show, every single one. I appreciate you if you shared it. I appreciate you if you mentioned it in your stories. If you got mad with us, I thank you. I want to thank you, right? I am thankful for all of our former co hosts. I appreciate everyone who has subscribed, who has sent us cash apps or um, uh, supported the show in any way, shape, or form monetarily. When you send your questions in, or whether you call in, from the spicy Smarrell to what's that young lady who came on one night and she was a alpha woman, call herself an alpha woman, like JR, or she had her own little podcast in her background. I appreciate her. I learned something from every single one. For every person that came on camera, every person that was in the comments, thank you. You have made this an amazing 1 year, and we look forward to another, however many years to come.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you. So, I want to take a quick detour real quick because everybody's been talking about the the McDonald's, right? And I said, I really didn't want to talk about the McDonald's thing, right? Because there's so many other things that we could talk about, and there's so many things that were wrong with that. And the reason why we're doing tonight's show is because there was some other news. That's okay. There was some other news that kind of went under the radar on the social media, in the social media world, but it was pretty big news. And it was the sentencing of Robert Kelly, the a great R&B artist that has sang and made probably many of the children that are born today. If he didn't make them, he contributed to them. But there's the other side, the dark side of R. Kelly's past and history that we don't really talk about. That was little known, but we want to bring that. We wanted to highlight that because it is a very sensitive issue, and one of the things that men are supposed to do is not only to provide, but we're also supposed to protect. And many women have not been felt protected for whatever particular reason. And so we don't have a video tonight to show you guys because we don't want to bring up any wounds, right? We don't want to cause anyone to be emotionally triggered by watching the sentencing or the what is that thing, the depositions that were happening. None of that. They did a whole 6-episode series on it before the indictments came. We're not going to show memes, or things like that because while the families may have gotten some respite, R.Kelly is also a human, and regardless of what you think of him, he's still a human. Whether you think he's good, bad, or trash, whatever the case is, he's still a human, and we're not going to defame him either. We will talk about it, but we're going to do our best not to say anything like, "Oh, he's a trash person," right? The actions that he may have done.
Hold on. Why?
Well, I am. I am. Now I say that. I do my best to kind of, because see, I think some people don't think, Shaheed, you can separate the action from the person, right? I think differently. I think that there are some times that, you are not what you do. Sometimes, what you do is what you do, but you can, because I've known people to come away from several different things. But dive into that. I mean, you want to, call them a trash person?
Yeah, quite. I mean, I'm gonna just be honest. I think R. Kelly's a piece of shit. So, I mean, just to say it frankly, I say that because around the time his videos were circulating, I was in middle school, and I'm a young man, young boy, coming into puberty. So, like, I liken it, me being in a position to where I have influence on a lot of youth, and I was around minors a lot. I would like right now, if the young kids, bunch of middle school age kids, found out that Drake had a sex tape out, those kids are gonna run to that tape, regardless of who's in that tape with him. They love Drake. They are into Drake, so they gonna run to that tape. And that's the same thing I did when I was a young middle school kid when it came to R. Kelly, especially when you experimenting with your own body, with porn and things like that. So I saw the tape, right? So I'm watching the tape and I'm into it. I'm locked in. I ain't never had sex before. I'm like, oh, this is it for me. And I'll never forget, like, the moment it got to one particular scene. Me as a middle school, um, me as a middle school boy, it didn't sit well within my spirit. Because I'm looking at this, realizing, like, yo, wait, this doesn't make sense. That little girl, I'm not even attracted to this little girl right here. Like, I like girls that are more developed. This little girl looked like she could be in my classroom, and I wouldn't like her. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
We got you.
Okay, so for me, I knew something, just the natural inclination in myself just knew that it wasn't right. It just didn't seem right. So as I get older, now I'm a teenager, and now it's in the court now. Like, we are hearing more about it in the media as far as him being on trial and whatnot. And now I'm at that age where it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, he might have did wrong, but I'm trying to separate the art from the artist, the talent from the person and whatnot. And I was still listening to his music But then as I got older into my mid to late 20s, it's like, all right, I gotta take a stand. I have to take a stand and stand on something and understand that this is not moral, this is not right. Um, I'm around these type of minor women and boys that can be taken advantage of and preyed upon by. Now this is where we get into the linguistics of predator, right? So like now, you know, you have different conversations with different people and you hear like uh in a sense is justifying behavior by pointing the finger elsewhere. Like I don't care how terrible a parent is, that does not give me the right to prey on a young child. If a mother today, right now, and says, "Here, have my young daughter," and serves her to me on a platter, that does not change the predator in me, right? So for me, it's just like it's too easy, and this is just my personal view. It's too easy to cop out and say separate the person from the act and whatnot. Yeah, in the sense of when we talking about, you know, they might have a personal view on this or that. Yeah, we could separate the art from the person, but when it's something like that, I think we got to stand on something. That's just me. That's my personal. I don't listen to R. Kelly. I haven't listened to R. Kelly in some years now. And then once I started it and realized how easy it was, it's like, you know, it's so much music in the world. I don't even recognize I don't listen to R. Kelly. Don't get me wrong, he makes amazing he made amazing music. You know, he contributed to whatever you want to say he contributed to, but I just feel like at some point we gotta have a hard line and stand on something when it comes to things like this. That's all I got for now.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think when people get to a certain level in life, mainly celebrities, people tend to ignore or sweep under the rug just some of the things, the outlying things that are considered wrong and um, and illegal. So, so yeah, R. Kelly definitely had a serious problem, and so as far as like, because it just followed him all around. So it's just like when there's scandal and all that kind of stuff, it's just like if a lot of people are saying the same thing, you got to know that there's some truth to it. But when you get to a certain level, people tend to just sweep down the rug, and it's just like, no, let's ignore all the hits. Let's ignore the gift because this person is struggling with a serious problem. And we see people, we see all kinds of people in the industry, and not just in the industry, but prominent people all in the world who have those things that follow them. And it's just like those shouldn't be ignored because we tend to um, pedestalize those type of people and then try to ignore all the bad. But it's just like, no, they're no different than you and me. And it's just like wrong is wrong, right is right. So it's just like if it's wrong, it doesn't matter who they are. It needs to be addressed. And I mean, we can go down the list, but yeah, R. Kelly to the Bill Cosby to the Epstein. Um, who else? So yeah, I mean it's multiple people. So it's just like so it's just like justice to me is served. It's long overdue, way overdue. Um, but that stuff follows you around. I don't care how much you try to hide it or sweep it under a rug. It's always going to get sifted out. And the Most High he sees everything. Um, so yeah, that's all I want to say on that.
And just to be clear, like before somebody else goes, I do believe that R. Kelly did have an illness, but that doesn't excuse you from that's no excuse. You know what I mean? You can be ill and sick and still, you know, be a menace to society.
Yeah, I agree with you, sir. There's many layers to this onion that needs to be peeled back. And I think because we come from a culture where uh, a lot of dysfunction happens within the family structure, and we have been policing our own self by deliberately sweeping things under the rug. And I had this conversation with my mom, and she loves R.Kelly to death. And I had to pose the question. I was like, what would happen if your daughter, my sister, was one of those victims? She didn't have an answer. Yeah, I know. And just like Colin said, your giftings, your gifts and your callings are without repentance. Awesome singer, talented. However, the dark side of him far outweighs that talent and those giftings now because they've been brought to light. And many, 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 many lives have been ruined. One, because there are a lot of people were complicit in what took place in some of those things. It's not a lot of innocent people in this. He's just the predator, but there's a lot of other people that are culprits in his doing. So it's kind of hard to go back to 1990 and public announcement and see how things started off so innocently and progressed on to his career and things of that nature. It's kind of hard to take your mindset like he was the joint. You couldn't wait to get a hold of one of his songs or play it or whatever the case may be. But now, because he had that gift, he had power to manipulate and control. And it wasn't like he was just doing it one time. He was doing it everywhere he went. So just to serve, kind of, sort of. And the reason why I say that is because the names that were already invoked, I'm not going to bring it up, but I'm going to bring up the one particular woman, Miss Maxwell, who she was basically the madam running these little girls through these little channels, and she got less time than he did. And I'm not saying, and this is not an attack on what's right or what's wrong, but if it's the same crime, then it should be equal punishment. But I get it. I'm not defending him, but what I'm saying is the levels of justice should be equal across the board. If he get 30 years, she should get 30 years. But we already know what's behind that. But
how much time does she get?
20. So, but bottom line, what people don't know that's transpiring now, there's going to be a lot more people getting hammered over this stuff because, particularly what happened with the last ruling in the Supreme Court, people fighting to keep their legacy. If they can stamp out your legacy at any point, they're going to do it. But if you stamp out your legacy point at any point, you deserve it. Now, I can't say that they're stamping out his legacy, but he's done so much that he's getting his just due, and who can argue with that? And that's where I land.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna co-sign what Daryl said. With the talent, I think the Boondocks summed it up excellently. If y'all watch the Boondocks, that R. Kelly episode, It's just like he's on trial, so everybody's just mad and upset and everything about the charges. And then he starts singing in court, and then they show it outside where people are just literally dancing, and it's like they're forgetting this man is in court. So it's like, yeah, he's manipulating and just using his talent to sweep this under the rug.
Yeah.
Don't look over here.
But see, you know what?
Right.
Colin, to piggyback off of that, and I'm gonna be brief with this. That actually happened in real life. Some of his victims had shown up to court outside the courthouses, and some were on one side, supporting him, and then there was others that were against him. So at the end of the day, the damage is twofold. It's like a two-edged sword. It's like some victims out there, for the notoriety held on, and then the other ones, their lives are destroyed. Either way, he did so much damage, whether they're lenient or stringent upon him, it had to be done. Let me just say that. So again, notwithstanding his music, and it ain't over. They still got charges that they still have to address. And I'll land there.
Yeah, I was just gonna simply say, the problem for me, at least from my perspective, with separating, I definitely have no issue with those who choose to separate him from the music. And I'm a big fan of R.Kelly's. He, as a music producer and songwriter myself, he was really influential in the work that I did in the past. And I even have a picture of me and him and my wife. But so I'm someone who actually had a somewhat of a kind of connection to him and to his work, and it meant so much to me. So so while I can appreciate those people and their perspective who might choose to separate him from the music, the reason I cannot find it within myself to do that is because the music is what he used to perpetrate these crimes. It's what they are, and but they're much worse than crimes, I think. And this isn't just someone who did a bad thing and was a talented artist, and those two things were separate, and they just whatever happened. But this is someone who used the talent, he used his instrument, he used his gifting to actually perpetrate the crimes. So so that's why I have a hard time conceiving separating the music from him, because the music was the weapon. And again, this wasn't something, sure, clearly he has a problem, but this wasn't a problem that he struggled with, because in my mind, to struggle with something is to perhaps continue to fall, although you make huge efforts to not fall, to not be in that situation, to not perpetrate these things. But from every bit of what I've seen, every bit of what I've read and heard, when it comes to the accounts that these people have witnessed to, as well as what I've heard in his music, and when I play it back now, him calling himself the Pied Piper. This is someone who was well aware of what he was doing, and his aim was to do it even more, which is why after the first couple of times that this came out and then kind of went away, he didn't stop. He continued on, and so anyway, that's just where I'm at. I think, I have yet to hear that of there being any remorse. I have yet to hear him even admit to any guilt in it. And so the crime is, the justice is being served as far as the crime is concerned. But as far as accountability and remorse, those things have yet uh, to be seen. I'll
Yeah.
end there.
So yeah, that was really for me why I take such a strong position on it is the arrogance. You know what I mean? There's footage of R. Kelly saying like, "Oh, they should have got me the first time," like where he believed in himself. He believed that he was untouchable in what it was he was doing. Like I get it. We all fall. We all have our ailments and illnesses, and we succumb to those sometimes. But when you do something as heinous as that, and you get off, and then you boast about it as if like you're untouchable. Like I don't think 30 years is enough. But you know what I mean. It's I'm glad at least something can because he was able to prolong this for almost 15, 20 years. You know what I mean? So um I just think the arrogance for me just shows is like Wes said, is there was no remorse there.
You know what's crazy about what you just said, Shaheed, but it's true, is that the arrogance is borderline comes off like he's a sociopath,
Right.
and that's a dangerous place to be because that person is not only distributing or displaying behavior that is unrepented, it comes off almost narcissistic. And in actuality, that's what most sociopaths are. They're narcs, and he's never going to cop to that. He's never going to cop to what he's done because he's had several opportunities to do it. And I think they probably would have went light on him had he started to admit that he has a problem. See, first he has to admit that he has a problem. And I'm gonna land there. I'm gonna get off of it.
Mr. Longmire,
Yes, sir.
tell us your thoughts on the 30 years.
I think it's good, man. My whole take on the whole thing is maybe a bit controversial. Um, I believe he's getting what he deserves. He may deserve more, like Shaheed was saying. Um, for a time, I found it very hard, and maybe I can. The music was what I came up on. Like his albums came out when I was a kid, so it wasn't. Shaheed was explaining earlier how it was for him when an album came out. He was a fan of R. Kelly. You run to go look at the video. I was a fan of R. Kelly from his first album. I grew up through that stuff, listening to it like just in passing because the family had it on. To separate the artist from the action for me, I look at every other artist, athlete, or whomever has had some transgressions, and I'm able to look past a lot of them for a lot of different people. His are a little bit more egregious. He definitely did a lot more than any of the other individuals that I'm talking about. So I believe he's getting what he deserves. Separating the music from the artist, I don't know. There's certain songs I can't listen to for sure. But sometimes I do still listen to it, honestly. The thing that I also think about, um, and I'm an empathy person, right? So I consider all things. I wonder what it is that got him started in that. And as I dug into his childhood he had a lot of childhood traumas coming up too. And he just turned around and passed those traumas in another way to young women, which of course is incorrect and wrong. But that's kind of where I land. I think he got what he deserves. He's still a criminal, regardless of what your past is. So
And Rob, that's the thing. You mentioned something that I mentioned. I'm not sure if you
yeah, I had
were
caught part
actually
of
in the
it,
room.
but
Yeah, one of the things I started out saying, speaking to what you said about when it comes to separating him from the music, the difference between him and other artists and people who, whether they're actors or musicians, whatever it might be, the difference in him, in them and their transgressions that we might overlook because they're unrelated to the music. The difference here is that he used his music, he used his musical influence, and he told us in his music. So the music in itself was the weapon, was the thing that he used against um, these young girls, and that in itself is why I can't separate the two.
And when you said that, I did catch that earlier, and it made me think because I've never actually thought about, the music being the weapon that he used to attract his victims. And that did make me think about it a little bit more. And I'm sure the next time R. Kelly comes up on my playlist or anything like that, I may think twice about it. Like, you know what?
Yeah,
It was the tool. It's not like,
That that was
but
the
that's
lure.
and
Rob, that was the
and
lure. That was the lure. That the lure. That's why they had parents out here giving away their children to him,
yeah,
because he lured them in. And I'm not saying that he was like, I'm gonna abuse your child, but he lured them in with the music, and he already had the reputation. Go far back to Aaliyah. He already had the reputation. Listen, that industry, as big as we think it is very small.
very small.
Very small. They know people know people, and behind the scenes
Yeah,
stuff happen all the time.
yeah.
So he was actually baiting and switching people's parents. Some people were giving up their children just for notoriety and fame, and he had no intentions of making them little girls famous. He just wanted to trick them out. And I'm off it, Chris.
I think I will real quick, Chris. I think that we still need to hold everybody else accountable because I get that we're talking about R. Kelly using his music as a tool, but say R. Kelly didn't use his music, he just used his money. Still a tool he gained from whatever it was he used. A pro athlete will use his money, use his influence. Movie stars, whatever the politicians will use their money, use their influence. It's not necessarily the fact that he used music directly to attract the people, is that he committed the offense in the first place. We shouldn't be overlooking anybody's offense. Um, however, because we kind of pacified or we kind of just let things slide that shouldn't slide because we don't look at it as directly as we're looking at the R. Kelly thing. And I don't think we should do that either. I think we should hold them accountable, whether they're using whatever their primary source of income is as the influence, as the lure, or whether they're just using their own intellect as the lure. It doesn't matter. It's still the same offense. You still need to go to jail for what the hell you was doing.
I think though the biggest, for me at least, the biggest thing in this is like I said, I witnessed it. Like I saw it with my own eyes. It would be totally different if it was just hearsay. I never saw it, but I can't forget the feeling that I had as a child, knowing that what was going on that I'm viewing is immoral and it's not right. So like yeah, we do. It's easier to give somebody a pass when you have no knowledge. You just, it's all hearsay. Like she said this, he said that. But when we bear witness, like I think if one of us, if something egregious came up about one of us, we would show each other a certain level of grace because we know the type of characters each one of us is and whatnot and all that. But if we were to witness the egregious act with our own eyes, we're gonna have a totally different approach to it. And I think that for me is why I draw a hard line in the sand because I witnessed that. And that's why it's easier um, because in other situations, it's I'm depending on someone else's information that they're providing me. So yeah, I mean, I just that's what it is for me.
And I get that, bro, because I ran into somebody who actually worked on the surviving R. Kelly, and she was telling me about the stories that the young ladies were telling and how compelling they were and how sincere they were in their story. Before having that conversation, I just figured, like society may do um, some of us in our community where they'll gather up a bunch of people to say that this person did this, but to actually know someone who worked on the show, um, and have pretty good extensive talks about the situations that the girls were in. It definitely changed my heart about, whether R. Kelly's innocent or not. I was, yeah, it definitely changed my mind and gave me a different outlook on it.
You know what, Rob? The most dangerous person to really deal with is someone that has mental dysfunction and a narcissist. You can catch them red-handed and they still won't think they're wrong. I have talked to people who come from Southern upbringing who really, let me say this right because I don't want to indict anybody, who really believe that he didn't do anything wrong, especially if the parents gave the children away, especially if the child was 14. I know somebody who got married at 14, somebody in my family, and bore a lot of kids. Spouse was 23. When I questioned it, they was like, well, that's what they do down south. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I'm like, wow. I can't fathom it. I can't even be emotionally, sexually turned on by a 14-year-old individual. It doesn't equate. It doesn't. My pheromones won't even feel it. But I digress. Chris, you've been pretty quiet, bruh.
And gone.
He's been pretty quiet. He just dipped on us. Come on.
Give me. I'm a comment on it in just a second. I've been listening to you all. I agree.
Well, we would hope so.
I agree that the actions are egregious. I agree that anyone that commits any acts should be punished. Um, I just I mean, he'll have his day, when he stands, on his final judgment, and that's where I'll stand on that. Wrong is wrong. I grew up on R. Kelly's music too, so that's I probably made a couple babies of my own. I probably So I'm not quiet because I disagree. I'm quiet because I'm listening, and my silence is definitely agreement. It was definitely wrong, but give me about 10, and I'll be right back. We're gonna jump to the question sections. Y'all fellas, make sure y'all get a glass. We're gonna raise a toast at about 11:45 before we go.
Let me pose this question to all of you fellas. And I heard Shaheed say, I already know his answer, but I agree with him too. That when I hear songs like "I Wish," "I Believe I Could Fly," those songs that are so inspirational, and then you got the ones that are on the other side, the saucy ones, and again, like Wes said, it's kind of hard to separate the man from the music because he used it. But I can tell you right now, every time I hear one of his songs now, I can't help but getting past all the damage he has done. And my question to you is, does anybody immediately think the negative or the damage he has done when you hear a song come out on him? Nowadays, a song, when his songs come on, do you like, man?
Yeah, for me, it's just like I have to snap out of it. Like, God damn, this is a amazing song, but I gotta remember, like, this is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like again, I'll never like here's where I can separate the man from the art from the artist. That none of his music, the quality of his music does not change to me. Like, I'll still give him the proper respect and credit where it's due. Like all his music ain't bad all of a sudden. He's still
right.
It's
Right.
still nobody out there, maybe aside from Michael Jackson or somebody like that, touching him when it comes to what he could do in that studio. But again, it's just my own personal preference. Like, yeah, I won't support it. I won't, you know what I mean? You know, I just don't vibe to it. But like, I'm never going to discredit. Like, I truly believe that, and this honestly could possibly be a part of why some of this stuff happens. I believe he was a musical genius, because when you look at his past, I believe they said he damn near was almost illiterate, right?
Yeah, can't read or write.
Yeah.
He damn near couldn't read or write. And I know, just working in education and with children, that creates its own insecurities and deficiencies within the person. And you know, not to make excuses for him, but you have to create this kind of like God-like image of yourself to mask the fact that you don't even know your ABCs or whatnot. You know what I mean? So you got to be larger than life here because you're so small here. You know what I mean? So and once you know, I think we've all been to a point where we've even ourselves thought we were bigger than we actually were, and you know, it caused us to treat people certain ways and say certain things to people. But that is just, he is a product also, and again, no excuses for him at all, but he's also a product of someone who has had bad people around him. Like, I'm a firm believer, like I've said this on the show a couple times, where I asked the question of, who do you shut the fuck up for? You have to have people around you that their word is what is the word. Whether it's your pops, your uncles, whoever, your OG from the hood, you have to have somebody in your corner where your words, no matter how much money you got, no matter how many records you sold, how many accomplishments you have, they don't care about none of that. And their word is final. And I don't think he's ever had a lot of people, you know, when you look at our community more specifically when it comes to entertainment, sports, and things of that nature, a lot of people don't have that. They have a bunch of yes men and women around them that can do no wrong. You probably got men and women outside of the door, guarding the door while you in there performing those heinous acts that are making sure you good, because they afraid to tell you, hey, this is wrong. This is not right. You know what I mean? So I think he's a product of that. But like I said, man, he got to deal with everything that comes to him.
And to your point, man, you know, yes, he's a product of that, but let's not forget that he chose that. A lot of people, some people just don't have anyone around them, especially if they're accomplished and are high earners in entertainment or sports or something. They may not have handlers and other people around them with their best interests at heart to tell them no, to kind of call them out on their kind of worst behaviors. And that's one thing that some people fall victim to. But then there are other people who I would say, like R. Kelly, or like a Donald Trump even, who actually specifically choose people who will go along with who they are, with all the terrible things that they want. And so at that particular point, I would say that, you know, not so much that he's a product of that situation, but he created the product through that situation, and the product is his wrongdoings, his misdeeds, his crimes. And to the point of again, we talked about separating the music, and the one thing that happens for, you know, I think when people hear any of his music now, even if it is I Believe I Can Fly, they are gonna think the worst. Half of the people are gonna think the worst, and this is where because I'm big on empathy, this is where I would, even if I was someone who was able to separate the music, and again, I'm not. Um, but even in that in that scenario, I would still have some empathy for the people who may hear it. You know, if you're listening to it at home alone, that's one thing. But you don't know who in the company that what company you might be in. You know, when someone has experienced assault, sexual assault, or let me watch our words so we don't get this video clipped. But who may have gone through some sort of a traumatic experience like that, and then these songs, or the very thought of him triggers them, and because of that, for me, even if I was able to separate it, I could never see myself enjoying it, and in the company of other people when I don't know their story.
You know, to piggyback off of what Wes just said, you know, it reminded me of how little we understand of how great his reach was. I'll
Yeah.
never forget. I'll never forget. I was having a conversation with a woman around my age, early to mid 30s, and she was telling me a story of how she remembers R. Kelly coming up to her high school and just hanging out. You know, as R. Kelly introducing himself and like, you know, asking the girls and women, or the girls, did they sing and what they wanted to be when they grew up. Like, she remembers him on his recruiting trip, so to speak. And this is like, I'm talking to a woman in Arizona. Now we think of this, R. Kelly is from Chicago, based out of Chicago. You think that this was something that just took place in his home where he was at? No, his reach was global. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we don't even know about, you know, what took place overseas and beyond the borders, where it might even be okay. Like, you know what I mean? It might not be talked about. They might not understand it. So it's
Right.
this is a really nuanced, you know, conversation.
I'm gonna add this element in, Shaheed, because I want people to understand the magnitude of what we are discussing. So we had a professional football player bankroll and sometimes fight dogs. Went to jail,
Right.
did his time, gave back to the community, got picked up by three more teams after he did his time and did all of those things. And white America, I'm gonna say it, white America wanted to crucify that man. But the difference here is these are little black girls. The United States very rarely gives two flying flips about little girls of color. They could come up missing. Very rarely will they put out an Amber Alert or any type of search going out till they get on till families get on camera and have an outcry. And I said all of that to say this: that yeah, he got 30 years, but the justice is not the same. Had this been had it been maybe 3 or 4 little white girls tapped into this, he probably would have got burnt at the stakes.
I agree.
So,
Uh, Go ahead, DB. I'm sorry.
with that being said, the real victims are them little girls that nobody really cares about. I mean, we do care about them. I'm not saying it like that, but the justice system is just not designed to get justice for people of color. And that's why
So,
we got away with it for so long.
so let me be the first to say, and I had to take a moment to step away, but I want to say this: if you have ever been taken advantage of, please speak up. Please don't wait. I know you may be in fear, right? I know, you may worry about the repercussions, but it is of utmost importance that you protect yourself and you put yourself in a position where you can actually be in a safe place. I don't know who you should tell, because I don't know your specific situation, but please, by all means, make sure that you don't put yourself in a situation where this happens to you or anyone that you know. And if someone comes to you in confidence, please, get them some help. With that being said, I want to take a moment to thank all of our co-hosts for talking about this particular subject, no matter how uncomfortable it may make everybody else. Right? That's one of the things that I love about the gentlemen on the show. We talk about some of the most uncomfortable conversations, and we've been doing it for a year. So, in about 45 minutes or so, we are going to toast. So, fellas, grab your glass or whatever you want to raise up. And I also want to take a moment of personal privilege and say, Jerron, happy birthday tomorrow. July 1st is his actual birthday. So, happy early birthday to you, our brother and co-host, Jerron. Every week we get some
Real quick,
questions.
Chris, not to cut you off, real just
Go for it.
to the point you just made, and you're 100% right. But we also have to remember too that a lot of people don't even understand that they are being taken advantage of. You know what I mean? So like some people don't, like a lot of these young girls that were girls then, they didn't realize until 15, 20 years later that they were being abused and mistreated. So yeah, I agree with you, but a lot of people don't know in that moment. They don't think it's abuse. They think it's love and affection and care. So um, I mean, it's not it's all of our job as a community to teach our young boys and girls how to properly identify what misuse and abuse
It
is. So
takes a village.
yeah, I definitely want to say that.
For sure.
That's a good point, Shahid.
Thank
I
you
like
so
that.
much, Shahid. That was an amazing point. So every week, right above Colin's head, he's actually going to point to it. We get some questions that are emailed to us, and just like these questions, you can email us a question and literally ask anything. Also, if you want to join the show, right above Shahid's head, you can join the show by clicking the link in the comments at call.aabma.live. You can join our show and we will welcome you onto the show if you want to add a comment or ask a question live. So here's the first question that was asked to us. It's a pretty lengthy one, fellas, so I'm going to try to shorten it up, but I definitely want to let you all, see if you all get the gist of it. So here's the first question. You are in a marital relationship. You're married to, obviously, I guess, a woman, right? Which the majority of your income goes into a joint checking account with your spouse. You and your spouse have a joint checking account. Each has their own separate account. So you have an account that's separate from her, from the joint account. She has an account that's separate from you, where a percentage of the income is deposited. If each has a side hustle, so the husband and wife both has a side hustle, should you deposit the funds into the joint account or into the individual account? And should the spouse tell the other spouse how much is earned from the side hustle? So, two-part question. First question is, if you have a side hustle, should those funds be dropped into the joint account or to the individual account? And she also wanted to know if you're married, if you were married, that was one of the things. If you've been married before, include that into your answer. And so, thank
So,
you, Nicole from Atlanta.
so if I could dive right in, yes, I've been married, twice divorced. So a couple things. One, right out the gate, I think it's important for us to even with your side hustle to move like a business. And I'm not talking about the marriage and the relationship, just the business alone. So your side hustle is a business. So just right off the rip, anything that you're doing as a side hustle, you should be doing very systematically and with thought, your what you make on as a side hustle should be that side hustle's um, income, and that side hustle should be then and therefore paying for itself in the whole nine. Too often, especially as Black people, we might have a side hustle and we don't treat it like a business, and we have income coming in, but we don't consider, the tax implications. We don't get an LLC or a corporation, and we miss out on some of the benefits of having a business. So that's the first thing. So nothing should be going into the joint account. It should be going into that particular business's account. And then you should be paying yourself from that business if there's anything to pay yourself with after this, especially if you're starting the side hustle. That's just one thing. It's the business part. The second part is, I think if you have a marriage, this is just me, that you have to withhold or even consider withholding any particular information, then you have a deeper problem than just the money or just the particular business that you're keeping from them or that they're keeping from you. So yeah, so before you can answer that question, I think you need to ask some deeper questions to yourself, to your person, your spouse, partner, whatever the scenario is, about the vision of the two of you, and what the future looks like, and what their definition of being one is. So anyway, I'll end it there, brothers.
I want to pick up where he left off. Yes, I've been married. And everything Wes said was brilliant and beautiful. And to add to the using your side hustle as if it were a business, even if it's not something that's taxable, you should still be looking at it like it's a business because you want to build that. You want to allow that to be one of the things that help to take care of your lifestyle. And your main income is your main income. Maybe your side hustle is a passion. And if it's something you're passionate about, that side hustle can grow into something that keeps that stabilizes your house more than your regular income. The one thing that I would say, and Wes kind of spoke about it more elegantly than I am, but if 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 you guys have a side hustle and you guys are married and you guys want your relationship to last forever, yeah, put the money inside the joint account. Yeah, put it inside the individual account. Really, to me, it's like, who the fuck cares? You're gonna allow your relationship to be damaged because you guys are trying to figure out what to do with money. Nah, be patient with each other, figure that shit out, and make sure your relationship stays intact. Don't be sitting there arguing over whether or not the spouse's money goes to the joint account or goes to the personal account. Why are you guys fighting over money? It's both y'all's money in the first place. You know what I mean? So who the fuck cares what account it goes to? Make sure the relationship works. Fix what's going on in the relationship.
Great point. Great point. And I'll just say this last thing, and then whoever's next. Um, yeah, if the first thing is that if you now have a side hustle and you're in a marriage, that money is everybody's money anyway. So it doesn't matter where you're keeping it or putting it. It's shared money. That's it.
Yeah, I think the thinking here is a bit off when it comes to this question. I think we get sometimes so caught up on where, like, as if the money is going. And I mean, you got to protect your money, your assets, but um, this to me is like there's some distrust, mistrust there, where there's not like uh, there's there's no trust there, in my opinion. For me, and I'm reading this and I'm putting myself and my woman in this particular situation. I'm looking at it as if she got a side hustle and I got a side hustle, I'm gonna be using her as motivation. If she let's say she made, I don't know, 10K in 4 or 5 months, I got to make 15. You know what I mean? I'm looking at it from that perspective, and like where the money go. Like Rob said, it's our money. You know what I mean? Like, um, I hope that we don't run into that level of mistrust where I gotta like, nah, you put the money right here. You know what I mean? Because I don't trust what you gonna be. You know, like that's scary for me. When that's the level or the thought going into it, it's just like that. to me plants seeds of like just I don't know. That's scary for me, man. I don't ever want to get put in that situation.
Can I piggyback off of that? Because I mean, you just brought up a great point. What it is I'm not going to say it is mistrust. It is likely a situation of mistrust. Maybe one person's a saver, another person's a spender, whatever the situation
It's
is.
starting
And
to
that's why
grow
it's
it.
like,
Though. It's like it's planting those seeds for it.
yeah, even still, yeah, you're right. It might not even be the case. It's still planting the seeds for it. You're absolutely correct. Um, but that's part of fix your shit. Like, fixing the relationship is more important than fixing where the money goes. And if one person's a spender, we both like to me, each person has to be willing to be the person to hold the other one accountable and to listen to when somebody's trying to hold you accountable. And if somebody's telling you, hey, you're spending a little bit too much, we need to watch our budget, well then take that heed. Like listen to it, assess things, look at things, because it don't matter. I got people that I talk to that go through that. They have a great income. But one of them spends a whole lot more money than the other, and the other one's trying to reel that in, but the one who spends more money doesn't want to hear it. It said, you know what, if we make more money, we won't have a problem. And I'm like, if you make more money, you're gonna still have the same problem because you don't have any discipline with it. You can make $1 million and be check to check. It don't freaking matter. So yeah, that's part of the whole thing is it's more so about fixing your shit. Like if you have a distrust with the person with that money, you need to take the time and that person needs to be willing, especially if he's your husband or wife, to sit down and really go over it, to go through the back and forth and figure out what it is you guys can do to make sure your relationship is managed. I get tired of hearing about relationships and black marriages and stuff being divorced over fucking money. Like to me, that's stupid. That's the dumbest thing because once you come together, you literally have if y'all are both working, you literally are in a better status than you were before you got together. So
See, the root cause of this whole thing is lack of communication. Basically, what you were saying, Rob, you got to sit down and you got to hash these things out. Yeah, I was married, and but I was married in the military, and I outranked my spouse. But what I suggested to her was let's offset my salary with yours, and what the difference is, we'll put in the joint, so everything else will be equal. But when you lay down those ground rules, when you lay down the rules in which you're going to operate as a unit, as one, then everybody has to abide by them. And that comes from communication. The problem with most relationships now is you got all this independency, people coming in with, this is what I bring to the table, this is what I'm bringing to the relationship. And there has to be a mesh, a molding of two minds and hearts that we're going to be on one accord now that we're one unit. But if you're still thinking like two single people, then it's never going to work. You got to think as a whole unit. It's no longer my business, it's our business. It's no longer what you do, is what we do. You got to communicate as one. And, one person's going to have to defer to the other. One person can't be the controlling power of everything. You're going to have to communicate exactly what it is that you need to communicate in order to survive as one complete unit. So you think as one mind, you walk as one mind, you spend as one mind. I'm not saying that it's not always going to be, there's never going to be a time where somebody oversteps or, colors outside the lines. But at the same time, if you're not communicating what your ground rules are, what your expectations are through the relationship, then your business and everything else is going to fall to the wayside too. And I toss the mic back.
So I was married for 15 years, and one of the issues that we faced was financial. And it wasn't until I learned that we should have a joint account and it's two separate accounts that things started to work until they didn't. So I think that you should be very transparent in reference to your income. You should not breed contention by housing money or hoarding money and not letting your partner know. When you hoard money and when you put your side hustle money in your account, what you're saying is that we are not together because we haven't discussed the money. If you look at it, it is my money because I earned it. You don't look at the married couple, the unit as one. You look at yourselves as two individuals, which breeds lots of contention, which also just says that you really don't want to be in a married relationship. You want to be two individuals who are together, who might get the tax breaks and the tax benefits, but you're not thinking as one. And for me, my wife and I will be one person, right? Although we'll be two individuals, we'll be one unit moving together as a I don't know what word I want to use because my adult words are gone, but we'll be moving together, you know what I mean, as one, right? So that's my thought. And if you're doing it any differently, you probably don't want to be married, or you've been jaded before, or you've been abused before, and so what you're trying to do is trying to avoid it, which also talks about something else. You need to handle your triggers. If your money or dealing with money is a trigger for you, that's something that you need to handle before you get married or get into a relationship.
You just
Great
spoke to
question.
another thing.
Thank you for saying it.
You just spoke to another point because some people do have that get out fund. Like some people want to put aside some money
Yeah,
so
the
that they
mad
can get
money.
out the relationship. Yeah. And to me, it's a safety net. I kind of think that, you know, if you talk with your husband and your wife and you say, you know what, we're gonna set aside a little bit of money so that if something should happen to me, you have money that's set aside that's yours. You can do as you please with, or if need be, something happens to me, then it's there. But even that shouldn't be a source of contention in the relationship.
I purposely just listen to all of you because y'all are the seasoned veterans. So I was making some mental notes. So I appreciate that, Phyllis.
Listen, man, you gotta come to a realization. This is it going to be a merger or is it going to be a corporate takeover? Which one you want your marriage to look like? A merger or a corporate takeover? Well, I just take over your little business and it's mine now, and I'm going to try to change the world with your money, or let's merge together and become this powerhouse, this super conglomerate, this multinational corporation that's called a marriage. Folks just want to be independent inside of marriage, and it's going to breed problems, man. I'm telling you. I was married before. I know how I get down.
Facts.
And Colin, I was going to say that get out fund is great for situations like yours where your wife, either one of y'all be coming from overseas. So that's a great situation for us. Like if something worse to happen with either one of you guys are able to travel back home because you guys have this fund. I don't want to call it a get out fund, but it's just that source of that extra protection. So you have your insurance and all that, but then you still have this cold hard cash. That's a
There
source
you
of
go.
protection. I believe that's a good thing. But you were smart, dude. You was probably gonna do that anyway.
All right, and then so thank you. Great answers to the questions, fellas. Question number 2, and thank you, Pam R from Atlanta as well. Can you fellas provide 3 tips men should know when dating? Come on, love doctor, Obi-Wan.
He pulled him up before he
Wow,
said
that's
anything.
funny.
Good Lord.
3 tips. 3
Yes,
tips.
3 tips men should know when dating.
Keep it clean, Wes.
3 tips.
Because he keeps emphasizing the 3 tips. Keep it clean.
We already know that you one tip that you want them to have.
No, it's for the man. So
Well, this is for men. 3 tips for men.
yeah,
Yes.
3 tips
3
men
tips
should
for
know.
men.
The force is with you tonight.
Man, there's so much here. One
I
thing
can go if you want me.
I've never
if you want to gather your thoughts.
No. Let me I don't mind them falling out of my mouth in real time. So I don't know how to quite articulate this, but I think one thing to understand that you should understand is the very things Like there's two sides to every coin. And so the very things you might love about your woman or a woman, understand that there's a place that comes from, that perhaps some things that you may not love, they come from the same, they're two sides of the same coin. And so don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And what I mean by that is, for instance, one thing I've shared it here before, when it comes to nurturing a woman who's nurturing and who gives you emotional support, understand that same place that comes from might be the same source, a well, so to speak, that her insecurities in some areas may come from, that same softness. And so just be thoughtful and be careful not to want her to throw away one part of her, because you may be throwing away all of the parts of her that are valuable to you. You said three things. I'll make these other two short. I don't even know what you would classify that as, but yeah, I'll say this: when you step in the bedroom, the moment you think you know what it is the moment that you fail. And what I mean by that is, you've got to treat every single woman as a unique individual, and you've got to approach even the bedroom fellas with her uniqueness in mind, and the willingness to discover and learn. What you did last with old girl may not work with this girl. And that's it. I'm gonna leave it at two tips.
Well, that was good, Wes, because I think I got 4, so I'll make up for your 2.
There you go.
So number 1, I would say to the men, first, know who you are. So what I mean by that is being on your purpose. You don't want to get in a relationship not knowing what it is that you want to do, and you don't want to be out here floating in the wind, because a woman is naturally going to challenge you. So it's like, we call it game plan, or a spit test. But it's just natural. It's women's natural mechanism that tests you to see who you are. So if you're not on your purpose, if you don't know who you are, when she tests you, you're going to fail that test, because it's, trust me. Number 2, I would say know your boundaries. And that comes down to communication, as we've all stated many, many times. So know your boundaries, communicate those boundaries, because if you're quiet about those things, and it's things that will kind of violate your space, that could be something that will disrupt the relationship. And that's not something you want to do when you're just now starting, or when you're in the dating phase. So know your boundaries. That way they can be communicated. And then 3, I would say be intentional. So be upfront, like just let her know what it is that you're wanting to get out of the relationship. Because I think the dating market is trashed right now, because people aren't being intentional. Nobody's being intentional. Everybody's just jumping into whatever and just going for it. And we end up with this mess that we're in right now. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of that. So, but be intentional. So communicate. If it's a vibe, if it's chemistry, if it's flowing by the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th date, you should be communicating what the intention is. So the 4th bonus that I'll add for Wes is also, because we talk about this all the time too, do that internal work on yourself. So if you did just got out of a bad relationship, you got trauma that you're dealing with, you need to deal with that first before trying to jump into another relationship. Because if you don't address it, all you're going to do is just repeat the same cycle, and then you're going to damage somebody else who's possibly not damaged themselves. So if you have baggage, if you have trauma you're dealing with and you haven't addressed it yet, address that before even think about getting into a dating or a relationship. That's it.
All right. Let me just jump in here real quick. Let me double dutch in. and say these three things. First thing a man needs to do when he enters that dating arena, from my perspective, is be his true, authentic self. No representatives. You don't want the wool pulled over somebody's eyes. You don't want the rug pulled out from under them. You don't want the tablecloth snatched out while you're sitting down eating. You want to be true and authentic. Secondly, understand that every woman is not the same. There are different techniques that everybody uses, but if you come in with the same playbook for every woman, maybe you're more confident in yourself and not confident in the fact that you want to make a connection. So every woman is not the same. You have it's a give and take thing. So and that leads to the third part, which is communication, communication, communication. More so being an active listener so you can respond accordingly, appropriately, and not look to respond to be on the offensive. You want to create a dialogue. You want to be able to connect and have a reciprocal connection that will lead to something a little bit further down the line. If you're not dealing with those three things, then as a man, you might not want to step into that arena. And I'll leave it at that.
You know, this is actually pretty interesting because I've had these uh I call them the three wants of women. I wrote this down in my notes about 10 years ago. And I actually use this as advice for men. It's just three things that women want when it comes to the dating life. And I believe that if you fulfill and encompass these three things, you will have the most success you've ever seen with women. So number one is women want to feel loved and appreciated, whether it's the smallest thing ever, by you just acknowledging the fact that you see her, you hear her, and you know what I mean, you appreciate the gesture. You'd be surprised um how much give a woman will have for you when it comes to that. The second one is and I think the most important one is women want to feel safe and protected when they're in your presence. Like no woman wants to uh in a man's presence feel like she still has to be on guard, and you know what I mean, she doesn't feel like she can let her hair down and, as they would say, rest in her uh femininity. And the last one is women want to feel they they want to be led. Like you hear a lot of women that will say, like, you know, they are willing to be submissive and etc. But it has to be, you have to show them something. Like a woman does not care if you're going inch at a time, but as long as she can see the progression, like, oh, he moved an inch from yesterday and another inch today and another inch the next day, you know, versus you just moving a foot and then you don't make any progress for the next however many months. So as long as you can make a woman can see you leading and making progressions, you'll be all good. So loved and appreciated, protected, and led, and you know, progress. No one
Interest.
ever wants to feel stagnant.
Wes, stop.
Rob, it's on you.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead, Chris. Mine are real simple anyway. Matter of fact, you know what? I got it. The first one I would say is for early in dating, don't have any expectations. You don't go into it with any expectations. Don't expect anything from her,
Mhm.
and you won't be disappointed. The second thing you can do that you won't be disappointed is you do dates that you would enjoy yourself, that you know the other person would enjoy. Don't go out on some dates that you know that you're just not going to enjoy. Do things that you would pay for, that you would enjoy paying for yourself, and invite that other person. And that way, you won't have a bad time. You're already going to enjoy yourself. Third is be consistent with your chivalry. Be chivalrous and be consistent with it. Shahida spoke to leadership. A woman that will not accept your chivalry will not likely allow you to lead. That is just my opinion. but it sounds about right to me. Some women will not accept a man's chivalrousness. Someone will not allow a man to open the door. Someone will not do that, and that's a sign that they're also less willing to allow you to lead. To me, that's my interpretation.
That's good stuff. Um, so mine is lie, cheat, and steal. That's tip number one. I'm just stealing that from Will Smith. Lie with the one that you love. I'm just playing. Cheat death and steal time or something like that. No. So the first tip that I want to give. So the question was, can you provide three tips men should know when dating? So tip number one is you need to know who you are so that you can know the type of woman that you want to have, right? I share this and I've been sharing it for years. My mentor shared this with me probably about 14 years ago, and I was married at the time. He said, you need to write down the type of woman that you want and then become the type of man that woman would want to have. And so in order to become that type of man, you have to practice certain habits daily, weekly, monthly, over and over so that they can become a part of your lifestyle. Once they become a part of your lifestyle, you continue to practice those same lifestyle habits so they can become a part of your character. Once you practice them as become a part of your character, they become who you are. That's tip number one. So you need to know who you are. You can't get to know who you are unless you know what type of man you want to be. You can't become the type of man that you want to be unless you know the things that you need to practice, and then you begin to implement those things on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, a lot of women will actually tell you what they want. You just really got to listen. The way that I became the type of guy that I am now is by listening to all of the things that the women say they don't want. They say, oh, I don't want a man that doesn't plan dates. I plan dates. I don't want a man that doesn't, let me know that he's interested in me. I let them know, now obviously this is over time, right? It's not all up front, right? I'm taking my time that I feel is the time that I need to take to do these things and execute these things. If women say, I don't want to be text all day. Don't ask me what you're doing all day. I'm not doing that. I have conversation, right? In order to have conversation, that means I have to have a life. In order to have a life, that means I have to have skills, talents, and things to do outside of going to work. That means I have hobbies. That's a bonus. Have hobbies. Have things other than basketball and video games so that you can talk to her about a myriad of topics. The third thing that I will say is that you can never be prepared enough for the type of person that you are going to have. And what I mean by that is this. You may have gentlemen have been doing the work to acquire the type of woman that you want to have. And when she comes, you may feel, what did I do to get such a good woman? Here's the thing. You deserve it because you put in the work. Shahid stole one of my tips, become 10% better. He said, become better tomorrow than you were today. That was one of mine. Become 10% better. Do better tomorrow than you did yesterday or today. Do better the next day, better than you did the day before or whatever. Just continually get better. And here's my bonus tip. And it's very, very, very simple, but it's probably one of the most complicated ones. You need to learn how to listen. Some men just don't listen at all. You hear what they're saying, but you're not processing it and you're not actually implementing. The woman that is meant for you will be able to speak things that you need to hear because she's the part of you that you're missing. That's the last tip. That's all I got. Hope that helps.
You killed it, Chris. You killed it. 2 thumbs.
Oh, I got one more. Take your ass to Amazon and get the Ultimate Vetting Guide workbook. It's by me, Chris Davis. Buy that damn book and you'll never go wrong in your dating life because I said so. Anyways.
For some reason, I thought you was going to mention that little
Shameless
flower
plug.
thing.
Say what, Rob?
For some reason, I thought you was going to mention that little flower, but I don't know what I was thinking.
You said you thought I was going to mention what?
That little flower.
What flower?
Oh, you don't know. You don't know. They know. People in the audience know. Yeah, the rose.
No. Get my book. Listen. You almost made me say something, but I'm gonna leave that alone. Anyways, fellas, it's been a year. I was trying to hold out for Shan. I don't know what happened to him. I want to raise a glass to you, gentlemen.
Wait.
Here we go. Raise a glass or a cup, whatever
Chris,
you got.
on.
Look at Wes. He gonna take his. Okay, so I'm gonna wait.
Hold on, because Robert didn't. Robert still needs to share his story. At the beginning of the show, we shared our story of.
Yes.
Your experience, Robert, since we started.
Yes, share your Ask a Black Man Anything experience. What it's meant to you. How it's touched your heart. Go ahead, Rob. It's on you.
Man, it was an interesting journey, like everybody else. I think I watched that part of the show when you guys were speaking about it, but it started with Clubhouse. I randomly ended up on there, and really I was there listening to cryptocurrency and different financial things, trying to learn something from there, and found my way inside of the other platform that where we started from. And one thing just led to another. Got on stage, said one thing, and was kind of welcomed back. And then we grew to this. I've gotten to the point to where I've learned you guys' personalities, and I learned how to accept what you guys say, even if something bothers me or I feel like it's said wrong. I remember I used to challenge a couple of people who were on stage because of the way they said things, but then I learned more about them, and it allowed me to listen a little bit better. And through that, I've learned so much. I've learned so much from each of you guys, even if it seems like I'm disagreeing. Sometimes I'm say that sometimes I'm antagonizing, but sometimes I'm actually getting a new perspective. I'm actually growing whenever I'm having these conversations with you guys, and I appreciate that a lot. So my journey has been interesting. You guys have been there with me through some things that we talked about in the back channels. You guys have been there through a lot. I actually got to meet Chris. I'm coming up on the opportunity to where I should be able to meet at least Wes, Shahid, and Shan. I'm officially an LA native now, y'all. Officially LA by city, I'll say. LA and Bakersfield. So, but it's been a great journey, and I enjoyed it. And really, I love being on stage with each and every one of you. Yeah, love being on stage with each and every one of y'all. And y'all asked me last week. Y'all said to y'all, do you said what did you say? Y'all said it sounds like you don't love me. It sounds like you don't love men. I'm like, man, I love y'all, bros, man. Like, I really do enjoy y'all. But I didn't want to say it then because it would have sounded real bad. But now I think it's a little more acceptable. I love each and every one of y'all, man. And I hope we continue doing this for another year, so forth and so forth.
Indeed, brother.
Fellas, raise a glass. I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing this to come true. Thank you for being constant. Thank you for putting up with all of my shit, because I know I said some stuff. I probably done dug into your skin a little bit.
Lord have mercy.
And it was a pleasure meeting Rob. He is just as lame in person as he is on the show.
Chris ain't never had so much attention about it. He just wondering why everybody's staring in our direction. It's because a certain element walked into the room. He ain't never been in that type of presence. So, now he want to call it lame because he's jealous. But whatever.
Anyways, cheers to you fellas, man. Here's to another year and however many more to come, man.
Salute.
Clink, clink, clink,
Salute.
clink, clink,
Clink, clink, clink.
What you drinking, Colin?
Don't worry about that.
Cranberry juice.
Colin got that church. Yeah, he got that church cranberry juice. He's drinking communion.
Right.
Right.
That's exactly what it is, a grape juice.
He said, "I
We're
got
gonna have
back
to
to the
do this
evening."
again next week. Wait till Shan get back so y'all get y'all, juice ready again. Anyways, man, thank you all for joining us tonight on this one year anniversary show. We're gonna do it again next week. Make sure you share this podcast with some of your friends because you have been blessed, especially the last part, right? Clip this and share it with your friends. Send us home.
He said he got him some apple juice.
Cheers, Muna.
A lot happens in a year, y'all.
Indeed.
We done got rid of King. A couple of the fellas that dropped off. They didn't want to come.
We got rid of King. King got rid of us.
Chris, must you always be petty?
Yes.
There's our clinking right there.
Yes, I have a penchant for petty. I'm not above it.
Have to put that out on the radio waves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shout out to all of our original group members: Trill, Clifford,
Yes.
King, Steve. Who else am I missing?
Jamal.
Jamal,
and then Cliff.
Cliff.
Yeah, big Cliff.
Hey, I met Clifford in person, man. Clifford is cool as the other side of the pillow, man. Clifford is all right.
He is.
Even though it was a short time, man. I wish I had more time to connect with him. I do.
y'all. We see y'all out there celebrating.
Thank you, Happy.
Out in the chat. Thank
Cheers,
y'all so
Happy.
much. Thank you all. Make sure y'all, if y'all got chalk glasses out there in the chat, also y'all can turn up, drink up to the celebration. Also, thank y'all.
Margarita mix.
We really appreciate y'all.
Passion fruit juice, and I mix it with a little orange juice.
Y'all have put up with us for a year. We appreciate our audience.
That thing was hit. Weed.
It's a celebration. Murphy.
Don Julio is on point tonight. I'm just saying.
You're going to have to drink that Long Marcellus, man. Don Julio, who that? Long Marcellus, bro.
Hey, man. I'm with it, man.
Should we tell them, Chris, what we got coming for season 2?
Go ahead.
Yeah, y'all. So stay tuned for season 2, officially starting next week. We ain't taking no break. We don't need no break. We're gonna jump right into season 2. But we're gonna change gears and have a whole new format. We're gonna have new topics. So yeah, y'all stay tuned. It's gonna be a great show.
I like the
And
way
we're gonna have live mud wrestling.
We do need y'all's help though. We need y'all to actually start coming back up and asking us questions, not just watching us. Y'all haven't been coming up on camera in a long time. Like, where y'all? Where are y'all? Let's go.
I like the way you work it. No diggity.
No diggity.
Daryl's gonna have a full 3 minutes to sing every episode.
Oh, bro, y'all don't want me to take the wheel.
Take the wheel, DB.
Me, Stevie, and Ray Charles got something in common.
All right, Wes, it's on you.
What's that? What's that, DB?
It's on DB actually.
We're blind to the facts. And Ray dead.